she's very excited about this marriage to happen and start getting married to her, like, childhood sweetheart, basically. But then Aaron shows up drunk to the wedding.
Hello, you're listening to Worth the Read podcast. My name is Sarah.
And I'm Shannon.
We're sisters who love to read. So whether you're a hopeless romantic or a fantasy fanatic, you've come to the right place. We retell and review clean stories filled with high stakes, swooning moments, mysteries, plot twists, and oh, so much drama. But in the end, we only have one question to answer. Is this book worth the read? Listen to find out, and don't forget to subscribe.
Have you seen, there's this video where it's like this single child was like, asked her friends to show her what having siblings is like. And so they're like at dinner. They like immediately start attacking her. One like puts his finger in her water and like splashes around. One like takes her napkin. One like puts her hoodie up. It was all rough. And so it's just like all attacking her. It's not like abusive, but oh my gosh. I was like, that's so accurate.
And she's like, no thank you. I'm good being the only child.
Yeah, I remember when we were like little, when we're all still living together and you're bored, you just go into the other room and like open the door and like look at them and you're like...
Yeah, just to torment because you're bored. I know.
And then you walk out and like leave the door open, turn the light off.
Oh my gosh. I remember Tyler was the worst at that. He was the worst. He would always just do stuff.
No correction, he is the worst. He still does that.
I know. He's funny though. It makes me laugh.
Everyone who's actively bullying me.
You like start crying?
It's fine. It's okay.
Just some trauma you gotta work through a little bit.
No,
Shannon.
It's fine.
Oh my, dang it! I started to make, I don't even know what to call it, a rating sheet for the books. Okay, because what I want to do from now on for every book that we read on the podcast is to give you guys a rating of like language, so you have like an idea of where it fits on the scale, spiciness, dark topics, and cheesiness, so if it's believable or not, or anything like that. So I do want to do that for this book really quick. I also got to get the back of the book.
All right, so when I was going through this story again, so it'll be like the new thing we're trying to implement, we're going to implement soon, is we're going to do mystery reads, where only one of us is going to read the book, and then we'll be telling
the story.
Telling the other one, so you can see like their real reactions to it, along with you guys. You'll be hearing it for the first time.
Yes. We're going to not do it all the time, because I do love to read with you.
Yeah, it's true.
But this is going to be a good way for us to get these out faster, because if we both have to read it, it takes some time, and then sometimes we have to wait for the other person to finish in order to do the podcast, and like we're not at the same time, and just lots is going on. Yeah. So I think this might be a fix to that problem, so that we're able to provide more for you, and also just so we can get more exposure, because there's so many good books out there, and I really do want to bring them to light, and I want to be able to help readers find really good stories that have everything you want, but without all that stuff. So this one... Okay, we have to say this book we're doing is called An Unlikely Plan by Laura Beers. And it's actually book 2 in the series, which I know.
It's so random.
It's my fault. It's totally my fault. But it just sounded so much more interesting than the first one. And then
I thought the first one looked great.
But... I know, it's my fault, guys. I'm sorry. It is book 2, but it does say it's standalone, so you can read.
I mean, that's true. We see characters from the first book in this one, and
you get kind of some hints too.
I get it.
Yeah, you get hints to like what the first book is about. Yeah. But our mom read the first one. She said she liked the first one better. So now I'm like, now
she's on to like the third and fourth.
Oh, is she?
Whatever.
Well, anyways, this one, the cover is beautiful, absolutely beautiful,
really pretty.
And I genuinely get so excited when I find a book that is so good and so well-rounded without all the nasty stuff, and it just makes me so genuinely happy that I want to share it with people. So, beautiful cover, Laura Beers. This book is called An Unlikely Plan. Tropes. We got to say the tropes. What is a trope in this one? Oh, an arranged marriage.
Yeah, like not marriage of convenience. Yeah, arranged marriage.
Arranged marriage, kind of a marriage of convenience for him.
Definitely kind of enemies to lovers.
And enemies to lovers. Yeah. Cleanliness, super, super clean.
Yeah, there's nothing.
There's like no language, right?
There's no language. There's also the dark... No like physical stuff. They literally, I think they kiss once. Okay. At the very, very end.
Yeah.
It's like a slow burn.
Okay. So, slow burn. There's a little bit, one trigger would be like kidnapping. That's in here.
Yeah. Is that a trigger though? I mean, I guess it could be for some people.
Right. So I just want to say it.
Yeah.
And then what other triggers? There's a little bit of drinking in here. Alcohol, but
yeah.
It plays part of the plot.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
pretty clean.
yeah, but other than that, it's very, very clean. So anyways, wanted to go over that really quick before we go over the back of the book and in the spoilers. So it says he has to marry her to gain his inheritance, but she wants nothing to do with him. After his father is laid to rest, Aaron Berkeley, Earl of Greylock, sets out to void the marriage contract that his father had in place for him. To his dismay, he discovers that he has no choice but to marry Lady Beatrice, or else he will lose a vital part of his inheritance. To make matters worse, the contract stipulates that he must marry by his 30th birthday, which is only 2 months away. He resigns himself to the marriage, finding solace in one's cup. Lady Beatrice Harford has been in love with Lord Greylock since she was little. She's elated to finally marry him and is determined to turn a marriage of convenience into a love match. When Lord Greylock shows up drunk to their wedding, she is mortified and has no choice but to call it off. Despite his pleas, she refuses to marry a man who would treat her so callously. Aaron is determined, though. His usual flirting tactics backfire, however, and he finds himself working harder than ever to win Beatrice's hand. When she disappears, Aaron must work with his friends to bring her home and back to him. But can he convince Beatrice that he is worth taking a chance on? It's so good.
Yeah.
I like it.
So, Unlikely Plan by Laura Beers, yeah.
All right. If you want to read it first, read it and then come back to us because we're going right into the spoiler section.
Yeah. So, here we go. We start with Aaron Berkeley. So, he is standing in the graveyard. His dad just passed away, who is like an earl or something. I don't know. Some high-standing position. Anyways, but, so that title now falls to him. He has been training for this his whole life. He doesn't really like his dad. He says that right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
We were at each other's throats until the day he died.
And then his sister also very much did not like their dad.
So she's at the graveyard.
She's like not even sad that he died.
So they're at the graveyard. He's just at the graveyard thinking like, oh, now he has to do all these things. Now he has to take over the family mine and all the lands and, you know, his title and all those things, which is a lot of, to be fair, it's a lot of responsibility.
All at once.
Because you're in charge of all of the, like, tenants on your land and stuff. Like, it's a lot. Anyway, so he goes home and Lydia is there and they're all in mourning, so they all have to wear black.
Yeah. And
a mourning period for them was like a year or something. Like, it was extremely long. Yeah. And like you had to observe it or society kind of shuns you.
Yeah.
Just weird.
You got nothing else to say.
I mean, it's kind of like today, but I mean, it's not as intense.
It's true. I mean, there is no deadline
in their own ways. Yeah. But Lydia, she said, I don't like him. He didn't even really acknowledge me because I wasn't the firstborn and wasn't his son. Right. Basically. Yeah. But Aaron's like, listen, you can't just like. Yeah,
it's a point of contention for her and her mom especially because her mom's like, stop, stop talking so bad about your daddy. Just died. You have
to respect him. He like took care of you and all the things.
Yeah, and she's
like a teenager, so she's like, I don't have to do that.
I think is she book 3?
I think she is one of the books.
Okay, I would like to read her because I feel like she has a lot to like come around to, and it'd be interesting.
She's set up pretty good in this book. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have a lot of her story in this. Anyways, so since Aaron's dad just died, their solicitor, their like lawyer guy, came over and tells him he has to marry by his 30th birthday, or they lose the right to the mine. Their whole family. So that's pretty much all of their money, all their income.
Yeah, he just found this out, or no, he knew.
No, he just found it out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, he just found out.
Yeah. So he's like, why didn't I know about this? But so it's to his dad's business partner, his daughter. Mm-hmm. And so they've known each other for a long time.
It was a way for them to keep the funds in the family. Like, let's marry our daughters off, we'll be good.
Yeah, love that. Anyway, so.
Does that happen today with like really rich people? Do they do that?
You know, I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't either. I
don't think so, but I wouldn't be. Well, I know there's like, you have to marry somebody within like the same class, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah. Like those kind of. Yeah, I get that.
You know,
the people we don't like.
Yeah. Where it's like, yeah. So I think there's still some kind of that, but like.
Okay, I do want to know if you know of anybody or have heard of people actually getting arranged marriages based off of money alone. Because I know in some cultures that's a thing, and I hear about that. But I'm talking about like just based off of wealth only. not
I know
religious
there
beliefs
is.
or anything like that.
Yeah, I'd like to hear some stories that would
Yeah,
be fun.
so if you could just let us know, that'd be great.
Yeah. Anyways, so he has to get married to the partner's daughter, Beatrice, or they lose all of the share of the mines, which is their whole income, so they would be destitute. So he's now trapped, basically.
Yeah.
But he feels
Because he's responsible for his mom.
and
His
sister.
And sister. So he
And
has
literally everybody else. Like, they would lose their entire everything.
Yeah, so he has to do it for,
Yeah, but all he remembers about Beatrice is when they were little, and she would, like, follow him around, and he said he has horse teeth.
She has horse teeth, is what he said about her to his friends. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, oh, dang.
Like, that's a little dramatic.
Well, even if she did, if she did have horse teeth, can she turn around and become pretty? Like, I'm trying to picture that in my head. How would that work?
I know, but it's like, maybe if your teeth come in when you're little and your, like, face hasn't grown into it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, it's happened to everybody goes through something like that. So he's very unfairly, like,
Judgmental.
we're not going to work.
Yeah,
she's
because
ugly.
based off of the way she looks, I know.
Well, yeah, he also thought she was annoying because she was following him around.
Yeah.
So
Totally get it.
It's
It's interesting.
Yeah.
In her perspective, too, and I know I'm jumping forward, but in her perspective, she's like, how come she knew about this contract
Yeah,
her whole
so
life.
I mean, that's the next part.
Okay.
Lydia has pretty much been in love with it.
The reason she's... Oh, no, not the sister. Lydia's the sister. Lady
Beatrice is pretty much in love with Aaron.
Yes. She has been her whole life, and she's like, I'm going to marry him. I'm so excited about this
entire time.
She's known. Yeah.
What is with the dads in this?
I know. Stupid dads. And then her brother, can't remember his name, but he was... John was like... It's weird that he's never even come to visit you, and I know him from school and stuff. So
so he knows
he
his
doesn't like
reputation.
him,
He's just like,
and
you can do better.
And she's been defending him this whole time, even though she hasn't seen him for years. She's like, I'm sure he's been busy.
Like, well, why hasn't he written you letters and all these things? And she's like, well, like, he's been away at school and stuff. He's been very busy. Yeah. So he's like, no, he should have done that. But that is explained away. It's not all Aaron's fault. He didn't even know that they were supposed to be married.
And he comes to her father to try to cancel the contract, right? Am I skipping?
Hang on. No, you're right. Yeah, it's to Lord Southcombs.
Is that her last name?
Yeah.
Okay, we're just going to say her dad.
Her dad, to try and get out of the marriage. And he's just like, no. Like...
He's like, no, this is a
These
contract.
are all excuses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like, I'm sorry that your dad didn't tell you.
Yeah.
He should have.
He should have. That was his bad.
Yeah.
But he himself had an arranged marriage with his wife, and he loves her. So he's like, you're just being ridiculous.
I mean,
like,
so
suck
did
it up.
Aaron's parents. They had an arranged marriage.
Yeah, but their arranged marriage didn't work out as well. So that kind of
turns him off to it.
Yeah, shadows his idea.
Yeah, he definitely wants a love match, and so does Beatrice.
Right.
But she thinks it is a love match.
Yeah, she's like, I'm so ready.
And she's like, he's so attractive. Like, I loved him forever. So she is so excited to get married. Anyway, so Aaron, all upset that the dad said no, even though, like, really he should have. But Aaron goes to White's, which is like a bar / like gentleman's club kind of thing. And he starts drinking his sorrows away because he feels so sad for himself. And his friends are trying to cheer him up.
Well, the friends are smart too. They're like, well, you haven't seen her in a while. Like, at least go see her first. And he's so stupid and stubborn, yes.
And they're like, so why don't you, like, just go see her?
Yeah,
and
just go talk to her.
He's like, well, she's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I know
just go talk to her.
Annoying. And they're like, that was years ago.
So annoying, blah, blah, blah. She had horse teeth. And they're like,
if someone judged me based off of how I looked when I was 13,
oh my gosh,
I don't know how old she was. I was like, I had really white blonde hair, like almost black eyebrows, braces. I hated the hair. Looking back, the hairstyle was awful. It was like so awkward.
Everybody has an awkward phase. It's
not
just
anymore.
Unfair.
Not anymore.
That
These
is true.
stinking teenagers are like, looks like they're 18 at age 12.
It's
and
terrifying.
It's so terrifying. It is very terrifying.
It's not very good.
I know.
They shouldn't.
It's so scary. I don't want to have a girl ever. Like, that scares me.
Stressful.
I know.
Yeah, but, like, he's judging her based off of all that. It's so unfair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and his friends are like, you're being an idiot. Like, you need to go and see for yourself what she is now.
Yeah.
It's been years, like, so long.
But he's stubborn, and so they're like, let's just drink. Let's just have a party and drink.
So basically, and they are like, "Are you sure you should be drinking that much?"
Right.
But
they're trying to slow him down, but he's like, just. Well, I mean, his dad did just die.
Yeah, he doesn't care about though.
Wait, when does he see her? Right before their wedding, or does he see her before? Or no, he doesn't ever get to see her at all. Okay.
So we cut to Beatrice. She is so excited, waiting at the chapel to get married, and she's like, "I'm wearing my mom's dress, and I've waited for this my whole life. It's finally here." They had to get like a special license to get married, so it happened pretty quick. But her dad comes to her and he's like, "I need to tell you that like Aaron didn't know he was supposed to be getting married to you." And she's
in
like,
the carriage ride on the way to the chapel.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, that kind of puts a damper on
But
things."
she is like, "Well, that's why he didn't write me."
Because she just found out. Yeah. She's like, okay.
So she's like, okay, that's a relief. Like, he wasn't just ignoring me kind of thing. So, like, she's very excited about this marriage to happen and start getting married to her, like, childhood sweetheart, basically. But then Aaron shows up drunk to the wedding.
Yeah. And he says,
oh my gosh. I would have been so pissed.
Which she reacts perfectly. Yeah. As I would have done the same.
So he shows up and he's like, wow. You're actually not as ugly as I thought you were. And, like, remember. And she's like, excuse me?
Yeah, he's like, you don't have a horse face.
Yeah. And he's like, I suppose you'll do. Hang on, I have to read the quote because, it gets me so mad. But, like, I just love this whole scene.
This is why I wanted the book. Because of, like, this whole scenario.
It's fantastic. So, you're beautiful. His eyes roamed her face with a half-lidded intensity. What happened? She goes, pardon? Said, you were such an ugly child. She stiffens. I was not. Because perhaps, but your teeth are perfect now. No one would dare call you horseface now. A small burp escaped Lord Greylock's lips. I suppose you'll do. And she goes, I will do for what? A wife, Lord Greylock said with a crooked grin. You are pretty enough to look at, and that is enough for me. That is enough for you, she repeated, her voice rising in indignation. Lord Greylock glanced over his shoulder at the two men who had accompanied him to the chapel. I will be the envy of my friends to have a wife as beautiful as you.
Oh my god.
Okay. I'd be so pissed.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, so he just cares about looks now. Doesn't care at all what's going on the inside.
Gives offensive things of what he did think about her, which is like...
Yeah, so she... Yeah, so she reacts accordingly, and she's like, no, we're not getting married. And he's like,
this marriage is
what?
off. What's going on?
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, absolutely not. We're not getting married. So she breaks the engagement, leaves with her family.
Back in the carriage. And her brother, John, is like, see?
Yeah, like he's like, affirmed all of his suspicions. And the dad's pissed because, I mean... He's a good dad, but like...
But he cares a lot about this contract.
Yeah, like, regardless of her happiness. Yeah. But he does think that it's all going to work out in the end.
Yeah, he's like, well, he was like, yeah, that wasn't the best.
Yeah, he does agree. Yeah. Okay, so the next day, Aaron sobers up, and their whole debacle is on the front page. And so his mom's like...
Oh, yeah.
Mad at him, and they have this whole discussion.
Yeah, his mom, yeah. And Lydia's like, what?
She's like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Like... Just giving it to him, and he's like, yeah, that was not my finest moment.
Yes.
Regardless of, like, the situation, like, I shouldn't have done that kind of thing. He was like, I wasn't thinking.
So embarrassing.
So, he sends a whole bunch of flowers to Beatrice.
Yes.
And she's just like,
many.
Go throw them out. I don't care.
I don't want them. The servant's like, where do I put these ones?
She's like, I don't care. And so he goes to visit her, and he apologizes, and she just doesn't care.
Yeah, she's
which
like, no.
I would too.
Yeah, she's like, you're fine.
She's
you're
like,
forgiven. He goes, okay, so we can get married.
And she's like, no. I do love that. And she's like, yeah, I forgive you kind of thing. And he's like, okay, so let's go get married. And she's like, no.
Yeah.
And he's like, but what are you talking about? We're going to lose the mind. She goes, I don't care. Like, that was like, you should have thought about that. Pretty much. So, then I have to read this one. Because this reminds me of, hang on, I'll show you. When I saw you at the church, I knew that you were precisely the type of woman I wished to marry, Lord Greylock said. Truly? Yes, I couldn't have imagined you to be so beautiful. Beatrice pressed her lips together, then asked, is my beauty all that matters to you? Lord Greylock shrugged. She felt a stab of disappointment and abruptly rose. I think we are done here, my lord.
Okay, this reminds me of... This reminds me of Swan Princess!
Yes! That's why I highlighted it, because I was like, it's like the exact wording. She's like, the beauty, all that matters to you. Literally, and he literally does the same thing as him and goes like, what else is there?
Yeah, what else is there? Oh my gosh, that's neat.
To offend women in 5 syllables.
I love that scene. I want to watch Swan Princess.
I literally, yes. It's my favorite, like, childhood movie.
It's so
But
good.
that is the exact scenario this is.
Yes.
Arranged marriage, when they were little, like,
Yes.
he's like, oh, you're beautiful now, let's do this. And she's like,
What else is there?
oh, so funny.
How to ruin a, what is it? How to ruin a marriage?
How to offend women in 5 syllables or less.
5 syllables or less.
That is
I can't.
the line of that entire movie.
I know. Oh, it's so good. Oh, so good.
There's no way that Laura wasn't referencing that. There's
I know.
no way. It's like word for word.
Come
that
on,
line.
Laura, tell us,
Please
please.
tell us,
Is
'cause-
that your childhood favorite too?
Because we saw it.
And we love it. We're here for it.
Okay. Anyways. So, after that happened and it didn't go his way, Aaron goes to his lawyer to see if the contract can be broken if she refuses to marry him. Because it's like they have to get married, but if one of the party refuses to do that, his contract can still technically, like, his side of the deal can still be in place if she is the one refusing. But the lawyer's like, nah, you don't have a good case here. Like, I wouldn't contest it. It's not going to work. Like, you can try. It's going to take months, and it's going to be past her 30th birthday, which is when you have to get married. So there's no point. So Aaron's still upset, still trying to get out of the marriage. Beatrice's father is really mad that she refused him. Like you said, he really wants this contract to go through and stuff. Which I don't know if their family and stuff will lose the mind. I don't think so.
I think it was hinted to, or maybe it was even said that they'll be fine. But I think in his mind, this is a good thing. So, like,
No, yeah, for sure.
he's really
And
for it.
I think he
on all
definitely
fronts.
liked Aaron's father a lot.
Yeah, they
and
were-
respected him, so that's why he's, like, really pushing it.
Yeah.
Plus, he's just kind of mad he doesn't get his way.
That, and then he's probably like, oh, you guys are stupid. You're young. You don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, so he doesn't really take into Beatrice's feelings and emotions about the whole situation. So, like, he comes into the breakfast table and he's like, our family's a mockery. Like, all this is happening. Like, why did you do that? And she's like, I can't marry a man who is so disrespectful, first of all, but doesn't love me. I thought, like, we had at least some respect and it could grow into something more, but that's not how it is.
Yeah.
So he gets super heated and is yelling at her, and then you kind of see... So Beatrice and John are twins.
Mm-hmm.
So John's kind of there, and he's like, are you okay? Like, he doesn't yell at you a lot. Like, are you okay? Kind of thing. But they're kind of used to his anger. He gets angry fast. He's not abusive, though. But he gets mad at them fast. So Beatrice is sitting there, and she comes up with the plan that if Aaron is still wanting to marry her, then she's going to make him not want to marry her.
Yes.
And so she goes, remember that costume I wore, like, a couple years back?
That ball, yes.
That ball.
So she goes and gets her mate. She's like, hey, can you go get that for me?
Yeah, and so she's like, my dad can't be mad if he refuses to marry me.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't like me. You know?
Yeah.
So that's her game plan now. So, yeah.
It's funny. Does she... Oh, she does know he came to try to cancel it. She found out in the carriage ride.
Yeah.
So that was... Yeah. Okay.
Like,
anyway.
he's trying to get out of it and stuff. And he still is like, let's get married, like, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to lose the mind. So that's... Now... all of his attention is because he wants to get the mine,
right?
You know? So it's not about her or anything. So she is pretty resistant to this marriage deal.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we go back to Aaron's house. Lydia is tired of being in mourning. Like we said.
Poor girl. I feel bad for her.
She's like, why am I mourning over this guy who didn't even look at me? Hardly any.
Yeah, she's like, let me out of the house. So she's always trying to ask her brother, can we go riding together? Can we go to the park or whatever?
Yeah, and her mom is always like, Lydia,
scolding
you can't do
her.
that. Like, they have a lot of contention and stuff and
sad.
don't understand one another. But yeah, so she's like, Aaron's like, okay, well, I have to try to woo Beatrice now. Like, do you want to come with me to her house? I'm going to try and visit with her, blah, blah, blah. And Lydia's like, yeah, okay. So she goes with Aaron, and they show up. Beatrice is in an orange and black dress, like a monarch butterfly.
I love
like,
it. I would love
orange,
to see this
black
costume.
I know. I wish I knew what it looks like.
Kind of reminds me of Ever After.
Yeah.
Except, obviously, the colors aren't there. But, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so just crazy extravagant. He's even like, wow.
You look beautiful.
Yeah. And so they're like, they all go for a walk outside. Lydia and John kind of separate and go on their own little walk. And so it's Aaron and Beatrice. And Beatrice is trying her hardest to push Aaron away. And so she just starts talking about butterflies. And she's just throwing out random facts that she doesn't know. She's just making them up on the spot. And he's like, okay, yeah. He's just, like, going with it.
Uh-huh.
And then eventually he figures out what she's trying to do. He's like, okay, yeah, like, tell me more about these butterflies. Now he's, like, pressing her, and she's like, well, shoot.
She's like,
yeah, they keep talking and talking. Regardless of that, while they're on their walk, they still make a connection.
Yeah.
They're still, you can kind of see,
she's
like...
fighting with her attraction to him, because it's been years she's been fantasizing, really, about him, and so when...
It would be hard to break that.
Yeah, so she's like, she'll find herself slipping into that, and then she'll be like, no, he just... Yeah. So she's battling herself a little bit.
He doesn't care about me, just mine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Aaron's really determined to woo her, and Beatrice is having none of it. Yeah. So it's just great.
It's so fun. This is why we love these stories.
Yeah. And you're like, yeah, Beatrice, you show him.
You show him. You grovel, sir.
He deserves it, I will say. And he does make up for it. So.
He does.
John and Beatrice.
Beatrice.
Because I wrote her name as Bea in this because it took too long to write.
Yeah.
I'm trying to replace it in my head, but Aaron ends up calling her Bea.
That's true. He does. It's cute. Yeah.
Anyways, I do like that.
I like nicknames. Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so John and Beatrice are at the first soiree of the season, which is kind of just like a get-together. It's not really like a dance or anything. It's just like a get-together. And people are kind of shunning her, like they're talking about her, looking at her.
Because she was in the news and the scandal.
Yeah, everybody knows about her scandal. Even though it's not enough for them to be shunned in society.
No, but it's still enough to draw attention.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. Anyways, so Aaron, they end up being at this soiree together. And Aaron introduces his friend, who's the first couple in the first book.
Okay,
Hawthorne and his wife, like, Delia or something like that.
Something with a D, yeah.
Yeah, something with a D.
Delilah? No.
It's something like that, yeah. Anyway, so they're there, and Delia's...
Delia sounds fun.
Yeah. There you go. Her sister is there, too, who's pretty extravagant. She's pretty feminist for the time period.
Okay.
So, we'll see more of that coming into it. So, but they're introduced, and Aaron's like, hey, like, do you want to go walk around the room with me? And so Beatrice is like, fine. And so they're, like, walking around the room flirting, and Aaron really thinks that he can just charm her and be done.
I love it when he does it, though. Like,
he's pretty pretty charming.
I was like, oh! I wish I would see... I actually kind of wish I saw that a little bit more. I wish that was...
Yeah.
There was more of it throughout the story.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he got his charm on and his flirting on, I was like, oh, I like him.
Yeah, he's pretty cute.
He is cute. That made me like him more, but I was like, I wanted a little bit more of that.
Yeah, he becomes definitely way more genuine as the story comes on, but, like, he is flirting, and, like, he's
more
surprised.
Of that flirty,
yeah, he is surprised by, like, how much he does like Beatrice already.
Yeah.
So he's like flirting, but Beatrice still is like persistent that she only thinks Aaron is there for how pretty she is, kind of thing. So Aaron, since he is the new lord of whatever, it's his first meeting for the House of Lords, the government in London.
Oh yeah, that was interesting. Right.
Yeah.
I forgot about this whole part.
It's the most important part of the book, but okay.
Yeah.
So, the House of Lords, they're voting on the East India Trading Company has a monopoly on all trading, pretty much in all the, like, Europe countries and, like, India.
There's a lot of protest outside of the building where all these people are meeting to vote on this.
Because, so, someone is introducing the bill that would make it free trade for all of the British merchants so they could compete, kind of thing. Because East India Trading Company, obviously, is a, like, outside foreign company. Mm-hmm. So the British people, merchants and stuff, could compete with that. But, as we find out, there's a couple of high-ranking people, even in the House of Lords, who have a lot invested in the East India Trading Company.
Yes.
So if this bill passes, they stand to lose a lot of money, a lot of things just like that. So, that's introduced them, Aaron and his friends, who some of them are in the House of Lords with him. They go back to White's, which is the gentleman's club, and they're talking about what happened at the House of Lords.
Yeah, it's kind of analyzing everything and talking about it.
Yeah, and this guy walks by their table and is like, you need to not vote for that bill, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, is that
kind of like threatening that,
And he's like, no, just a suggestion. And we're like, that's interesting. What is that about? Anyways, as they're sitting there at the table, Aaron starts talking about his interactions with Beatrice, and he starts seeing her in a new light and has some growing feelings for her.
I love quotes. Just give me all the quotes.
I will give it to you. Hang on.
I'm so excited.
Okay. Aaron shifted in his seat. I was wrong to assume Lady Beatrice was the annoying girl that she was in her youth. She is quite the opposite, he admitted. She is clever and has a sharp wit and is quite fierce.
Nice.
Isn't that cute?
Yes.
So he's starting to see who she is.
More of her.
Not just pretty, not just a pretty face and stuff. And he's, like, surprised. Which is kind of annoying. But anyways, so Lord Brooksby is who threatens Aaron. Okay. So Aaron and Beatrice go for a carriage ride.
Ooh.
Aaron's like, hey, like, let's hang out. kind of thing. And she's like, fine. And so they go for this carriage ride. And they start talking, and it kind of comes out Lydia and Beatrice, they didn't get along when they were little.
Yes.
So she's like, yeah, we butt heads a lot. Like, I don't really like her. And
Beatrix remembers this very vividly, and Lydia is like, doesn't really remember? I don't know.
No, she doesn't really, like, talk about it a lot, but
Or
Beatrice...
maybe she didn't care, like, back then. I don't think. Lydia has a personality where she's like, she will
She's
cause
pretty flippant,
problems and then doesn't care about the outcome kind of thing. Yeah. That's the vibe I got, at least.
Yeah, so Aaron's like, you should probably give her another chance. Like, she is young, kind of thing. Beatrice is a couple years older than her.
Yeah.
But she's like, I love Lydia. Or he's like, I love Lydia, you know, with all my heart. She's my sister. But, like, she can be pretty difficult. So, like, maybe give her a second chance. And Beatrice is like, okay, maybe, you know, kind of thing. But Aaron's like, I want to know everything about you. Just tell me everything. And Beatrice, her walls are coming down a lot more now. Yeah. And she's like, okay, like, she can't help but kind of connect with Aaron. Mm-hmm. And they connect on their dads. Their dads are kind of rough. Yeah. And so Beatrice is like, yeah, my dad is... He gets mad very easily. His temper is quick. But he's never hit me or anything like that. It's hard dealing with that. And he's like, yeah, I understand what that's about because my dad was abusive.
Oh, yeah.
He used to hit Aaron and stuff like that. Like,
so sad.
Yeah, he was very strict, like, teaching him how to take over the house and title and stuff. And, yeah, it came to that a lot. I don't think he was abusive to Lydia.
No, just him.
Just Aaron.
Yeah.
So they kind of connect on how their dads kind of suck sometimes.
Yeah.
My favorite part, Aaron is, like, sitting in his study in the, like, library or whatever, and he's reading a book on butterflies.
Oh, yeah! Aww.
And he's like, man, butterflies are actually really interesting. And it's so funny, because Beatrice could not care less about butterflies, but Aaron thinks that she loves butterflies, so he's, like, totally reading up on butterflies. It's so cute. I just love it. Anyways, so Aaron's sitting there, and her mom comes in, and she's like, Lydia's gone. Where is she? And she had snuck away to the masquerade ball that was happening at the same time.
Yes.
And Aaron's like, ugh, I'll go get her.
Because he wasn't planning to go.
He wasn't planning to go.
Beatrice knew this, so she was excited to go. No?
Yeah, she's not supposed to be going anywhere. She's in mourning. And it is a masquerade ball, so their faces are hidden. But if the masks come off and people see that she's there, she could pretty much be ruined. Like, it's a really, like, kind of life or death situation right now.
For her.
Yeah, socially, yeah. Aaron's like, okay, don't worry, I'll go get her, kind of thing. So she goes, yeah, and Beatrice and John are there, and they weren't expecting to see Aaron there, but so the character in the first book, so the guy and his wife are there with the sister, and Beatrice kind of made friends with the women, and so they're kind of talking and stuff, and she's like, oh, where's your husband? He's like, oh, he's over there with Lord Greylock, and she's like, what, Aaron's here?
Oh, yeah.
So she's all kind of giddy and, like, excited but nervous.
Well, the girls that she made friends with, the wife and the sister, befriend her and are like, let's go shopping, and so they make plans to go shopping later,
and
which
they
comes
seem pretty genuine people. I like their characters. Anyway, so Aaron asks Beatrice to dance because he wanted to, but at the same time he's like, listen, Lydia is here, and she's like, isn't she in mourning? Like, she shouldn't be here. And he's like, exactly.
I know. And I have a problem on my hands.
Yeah, so they're dancing, and they're going around the room looking for Lydia at the same time as they're dancing, but then they also have a cute little moment while they're dancing, because she's like, it's like a waltz, so they're really close to each other, and just, like, kind of romantically going. They're, like, talking close to each other and looking too deeply into their eyes. It's cute. So they're talking while they're dancing, and he's like, I need to find her before everybody removes their masks. And he's like, I just found out that Lydia is pretty much after a title. She just wants to marry somebody who has a really nice title. She just doesn't really care about marriage and stuff. And I think that comes from, like, seeing her parents and everything. And
Yeah, she has a negative attitude about it, kind of.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. I don't know why she has that so intensely. But yeah, and Aaron's like, I wouldn't be surprised if she tries to trap a man into marriage. And so Beatrice is like, really? And so they're concerned now, like, anything could happen at this ball.
Yeah, they gotta find her.
Yeah, quick. They don't find her, like, stuff could happen and it could be ruined. So they start searching for him, and everybody goes out, and the wife's sister finds them in the garden. And she's like, they're in the garden, so they all go out. And right when they're walking up, she leans forward and kisses this man.
Aaron says, what are you doing, right?
He's like, what are you doing? And they turn around, it's John. Beatrice's sister.
No.
Brother.
Beatrice's brother is kissing
brother.
Lydia.
Yeah, and they're like, what are you doing? Like, she's like, first of all, you're at this masquerade ball you're not supposed to be at, and then you're kissing somebody in the garden. Like, anybody else saw you, you would be ruined.
Yeah.
And, like, your whole future is, like, blah, blah. Anyways, so, but John is going to have a really nice title one day. He's going to be a marquis. And confirms Aaron's, like, suspicions, and now Beatrice kind of doesn't like her more. It's a mess.
I want them to get together. I want her and John.
I think they do, but
I hope so.
Yeah.
I want to read their book just to see, because they are in this quite a bit, and so you see already a little bit of that development. So if they don't get together, I'd be really sad.
Yeah. If they don't get together, it better be somebody real good, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways. So Aaron's, like, taking her home, and he's pissed, obviously, as he should be. And she's like, well, it would have been the worst thing, like, if I had been ruined by John, then, like, we would have had to get married. And he has a great title. And he's like, why do you think that way? Like, why do you just want a big title? And she's, well, she didn't see any love in her parents' marriage. And she's like, I just think it's smarter to look for a title and, like, have a really nice living kind of thing, because I can't hope for a love match. Aaron's like, listen, you shouldn't be thinking that way. Like, you're so young, you have all this time to find somebody you love, and that's what you deserve.
Yeah.
And he's kind of realizing that for himself. Like, he can have that too if he really puts in the effort with Beatrice.
Yeah.
So that's a killer moment. But he also realizes that he's been neglecting Lydia. He's been at school all these years, comes back, their father died, immediately goes into all this other thing. So, like, Lydia is a very social person and wants to be out and about and loves her brother, and they just don't, you know, hang out a lot. So he's like, I need to, you know, spend more time with you. Beatrice's dad is still mad at her, obviously. And he's like, well, have you decided to marry?
Yeah, you getting married or what? Or, yeah.
And she's like, no. And he's like, why not? It's so simple. And, like, you know, he's
just
really mad. Yeah. Anyways, but
I feel like Dad was like that too. Are you married yet? Are you?
Not mad, but, like, yeah.
No.
Like, so, like, are you married yet? Why aren't you married? You know. Anyways, so her father's like, don't leave the house today. He's all mad about it. He's like, you're not gonna defy me, kind of thing. And she's like, okay.
And don't leave the house. And she's like, all right, that was random.
You know,
but did I steal your butt? Because you were gonna say it.
Yeah, you did.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Shannon.
But her and her friends had already planned to go shopping.
Yeah.
And so she's like, and John's like, you're still gonna go out? And she's like, well, yeah. He didn't tell me why to stay at the house. He's being unreasonable. That's what she thinks. But it was for a reason. Anyways. So,
I knew. I was like, there's something there.
Mm-hmm. Beatrice goes shopping with her friends, which is the friend's wife and the sister. And they're just walking along, like, all these shops and stuff. And this carriage comes careening around the corner, stops right next to them. This guy jumps out, tries to grab Beatrice.
Yeah.
And she starts yelling, and, like, everything gets crazy. And then the guy gets shot in the arm by the friend's sister.
Yeah.
Just pulls out a gun.
Pulls out a little gun out of her little purse thing.
Little poop. And just...
and then she shoots him. I imagine it being so small.
Yeah, like one of those tiny little guns, because it has to hide in her little purse.
Yes.
Yeah, so, like, shoots
But her
him in
aim
the
was
arm.
really good.
Yeah, shoots the guy in the arm. He gets back in the carriage, and they run off. And there was a guy who was talking to them before, the friends and stuff. And he comes running back, and he's like...
he kind of saw the whole thing.
Yeah, and he's like, I saw that. What? Are you okay? Like, all these things.
Yeah.
And so they...
Someone tried to kidnap her.
Someone tried to kidnap her.
Like, they intentionally were to grab her. Yeah.
And so... They're like, what is happening? Beatrice is like, what? Why did this guy,
right.
why did he try to kidnap me? So they take her back to her house, and the friend of Aaron comes to Aaron's house, and he's like, Beatrice was almost kidnapped. So Aaron's freaking out. He immediately runs over to them, and Beatrice is like, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, I had to see you were safe. You know, like, you were just almost abducted. Like, what is going on? It was like, we're like, now, why is Beatrice trying to be kidnapped? Like, what is the motivation behind that?
Right.
We're so confused.
Yes. Which I did not see this coming at all.
Didn't. I do love the whole plot.
Yeah, there's a lot that happens even later on, too, that I'm like, what?
Yeah, you don't see coming.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
So, while Aaron's visiting her, he proposes again because he's like, well, if I'm always there, then I can protect you.
He's like, let me marry you so that I can protect you and always be with you.
Which is pretty, it's a pretty genuine proposal.
Yeah,
on Aaron's
he's genuinely concerned about her safety.
And Jenny really likes her now with that. So, like, it's pretty genuine on Aaron's part. But Beatrice is like, you still
you just are trying to coerce me into marriage, saying that you're going to try to protect me.
So
she kind of
really
thinks...
off-putting.
Yeah, she thinks he's in it for the wrong motivation, but it's not. Still
seeing Aaron in this wrong light, even though he's starting to be genuine, but she can't see it for what it is.
For his behavior in the past.
I don't blame her.
No.
You know? Anyways, but Aaron's kind of like, listen, I've been doing all of this work and, like, we've gotten to know each other. Like, you feel the same feelings kind of like I do. You're afraid what's going to happen in this relationship and stuff. And she's like, no, I'm not. And he's like, listen, it's scary. I get it too, but you need to be open to this kind of thing. So he kind of calls her out on being afraid. Aaron gets a threat against Lydia's life if he doesn't vote in favor of the charter bill.
Yeah. So what is it?
Votes to
keep it monopolized.
Yeah, keep the monopoly for the East India Trading Company.
Voting against it. How did he get it? He got like a white piece of paper.
It was like this kid that walked up to him.
Oh, that's right.
When they were at White's, so that the club, the bar, he's sitting with his friend, and some little kid, like a little messenger boy, comes up, hands him a piece of paper, and just leaves.
Yeah.
And it says, if you value your sister's life, you'll vote against the bill.
Yeah.
And he's like, what
the heck? Yeah.
And so it's kind of weird, and I think we would have understood this if we had read the first book.
I'm sorry. That's completely my fault.
That's our bad. But the friend is like...
Yeah, no, he's like a detective or something.
Yeah, he has to be like working for the government or something.
Yeah,
and he's like, don't worry about it. I'll figure it out.
I'll figure this out. He's like, what do you mean? But he's like, don't ask questions. It's like, we don't know, but he obviously has experience, but his friend had no idea. And he's like, wait, how do you know?
His friends don't know what's happening.
Yeah, it's funny.
So
it's all
Aaron's
secretive.
just like, I need to call like the constable, the police.
Yeah, he's like, I think I can take care of it.
And they're like, they're useless. Like, I'll just take care of it. Don't worry about it. And he's like,
funny.
Okay.
I know.
Whatever.
Read book 1, guys.
Yeah, you'd be so way better for this.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Aaron and the friend go to Beatrice's dad because they're like, Lydia is being threatened. Beatrice was almost kidnapped. So they're like, it has to be connected.
Yeah.
So they go to Beatrice's dad and they're like, have you gotten a threat against Beatrice or your family? And Beatrice's dad is like, yeah, I got this letter and this note. And he's like, I've been threatened all these times being in the House of Lords. Like, I wasn't too concerned with it when I got the note, but like, that's why Beatrice's father was like, don't leave the house. Mm-hmm. And now we can see it's a credible threat.
Yeah.
And they need to be worried about it.
Yeah.
So the friend is like, hey, like, thanks for telling us. I'm looking into it. Like, I have these connections. We're gonna see if we can figure out who it is.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So they go to Lord Haskett. Sarah, are you paying attention? What is this crazy? She was like on Facebook. Am I boring you?
No! My phone is vibrating. And then my favorite author posted something. And so I wanted to see what it was because she was celebrating someone else's book release and I wanted to see what book it was.
You just couldn't wait for it? This isn't important enough for you? I'm so sorry. Jeez.
I'm sorry. I thought I had a second. I thought I could sneak it in. I'm like over here turned away. And it was all recorded.
Yeah, you're trying to hide it on camera. Like, I don't understand. Oh my gosh.
I'm looking over here and it's scrolling. Oh my gosh. I have a book open. Just like hiding my phone. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
I totally just
crazy.
Was taken out of the present and
I get it.
Oh frick, that's too funny. Oh gosh. We're almost done anyway.
Yeah, we are. Anyway, so they go to... You're ready?
No. Sorry, okay, I'm ready.
They go to Lord Haskett's house, which he is in the House of Lords as well. And they notice that his wife has been gone for a while.
Yeah.
And they're like, so, like, has your wife gone missing? Like, what's that about? And he's like, no, I sent her away. And they're like, you didn't send your wife away.
Like, tell us. And they yeah.
Yeah, he's denying it. He's trying to say, like, no, like, she's just...
friends or something.
Yeah.
Or family or whatever.
Yeah, so, but we find out that his wife has been abducted.
Yeah.
And she's been missing for days. And so they're like, listen, Aaron's sister has been threatened. Like, all these people have been threatened. We're trying to find out who it could be. Like, do you have any clues kind of thing? And he's like, no, I don't know. And so they're like, well, shoot. So they're at the House of Lords, and they're still talking about the charter bill and stuff. And this Lord Brooksby. Sorry,
yeah.
Like, I don't have his name.
Yeah.
Lord Brooksby comes up to Aaron again and is like, I have what you want kind of thing. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you'll see, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so he leaves. Still, like, you need to vote down the charter bill. You won't like what happens if you don't. And he's like... So they're, like, pretty much suspecting it's that guy. Anyways, while there's there, one of Aaron's servants comes running in and is like, your sister is missing. She's gone. She's not in her room. There is a ladder propped up outside her window.
Yeah.
And so Aaron rushes home, and the mom's like, well, I thought maybe she had gone to the store and that's like why she wasn't here and stuff, but like she's been gone for hours and she's scared of heights, so there's no way she was going to climb out her bedroom window with this ladder she had randomly found.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
so
like a rickety ladder.
Yeah, like that's not what happened. She's been taken. Like,
yeah,
that's how they know she's been taken.
But the mom, didn't she call the constable or something? And...
Yeah, they called the cops, and the constable's like, well, she's only been gone for a couple hours. She's probably just at the shops.
One of the girls trying to flee.
Yeah. So he doesn't take it seriously. He's like, I have other missing people I have to actually take care of. So he's like, great, you were no help. So now he's like freaking out, and the friend's still like, listen, I have these leads I'm going off of. We're gonna find her. Just wait. So there's nothing Aaron can do at the moment. Like, he has no leads, no clues. Anyway, so he goes to visit Beatrice, and he asks her one more time to marry him. And he's like, listen, if you still don't want to marry me, I will leave you alone forever. But like, I really have feelings for you at this point, and I think we would be a great match and a great relationship. Yeah. Like,
what? And he says this too because he's worried about her being taken too, right?
Yeah, I mean, so it's all kind of motivated.
Way to be protected, to help keep her safe.
Yeah. And he's like, Lydia was just taken. He is concerned about her safety, but he still generally wants to marry her.
Yeah. And she wants to say yes.
She really does, and she kind of hesitates, and he's like, if you say no, I won't bother you again. We'll kind of just be done. And so she says no, and he's like, okay, I won't bother you again.
He's all sad.
And then she's talking to her mom, and she's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I kind of want to just rush after him and say yes. And she's like, listen, I know that this started off super rocky, and you don't really trust him and all these things, but your gut's telling you the right thing.
Yeah.
You need to marry him. And so Beatrice goes up to her room, and she's like, I just need to think. I need to be by myself and think about everything that's going on. So Beatrice runs to her room. There is a man
hiding,
waiting for her in her room.
The curtain.
With a knife.
I thought it was a gun.
With a gun. I don't know, something like that.
A weapon.
I thought it was a knife because it wouldn't be loud.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways, so he's like, if you scream, I'll get you, kind of thing. And so she's like, okay. They
he's
force
like,
her
out the window on the ladder.
The same way Lydia was taken.
Ladder.
And so they get out. There's two guys, and they both have knives, and so they're taking her around the house. And
She sees a servant boy.
Yeah,
or
there's
somebody.
like a stable boy.
Stable boy?
By the house, or by the stables.
Where he would be typically.
You know, like for a stable boy. And so he's like, what are you guys doing here? Who are you? And so they shoot the stable boy.
Yes, injures him.
And it looks like he dies. Like,
yes,
Beatrice
falls
is like,
on the ground.
And
Yes.
so they shove her into a carriage, and they
terrifies her. Yes.
Yeah, like blindfold her. She doesn't know where she's going.
Yeah.
They take her to an old, rickety, rundown, abandoned building.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on the rough side of town. Like, everything is abandoned. It's gross. Yeah,
everything stank back then, but yeah.
Yeah, and so she's shoved into a room with Lydia and the missing wife of that other guy.
Yeah.
So
I was like, what?
I know. And they're like, yeah, there's no way out
And
of
the
here.
poor wife has been there for so long, and she's like not talking.
Yeah, she's just like sitting in a corner.
Traumatized.
It's
and Lydia's
so
like,
sad.
don't bother talking to her. And Lydia was pretty beaten up too, right? Like,
yeah. I don't know if she had been beaten, but like, oh no, she had, because like she had tried to escape and they
hurt her.
Yeah, they hurt her. They were like making threats. We can basically do whatever we want to you, kind of thing. So like behave. And so there's bars on the window or something, or
they're locked up. Nothing's in there. They're on the floor.
There is a window, but it's like super high off the ground. And, like they can't get out of it. So yeah, they are trapped.
Could they not? Oh, maybe they could open it, but Lydia's like, I've already tried. There's nothing to grab onto to climb down.
Yeah,
so she said.
And so they would get hurt if they tried to escape. Anyways, so they are just stuck in this room.
Oh, and so Aaron and
John runs to Aaron's house. And he's like, Beatrice is missing. And so now Aaron is like, oh my god,
freaking out. Goes to his buddy who's supposed to be.
Aaron's friend comes over and he's like, listen, I just heard, like, we overheard talking to these ruffians trying to hire somebody to do an abduction. And so they're like, now we know who has been doing it. So Aaron sends John away. He's like, listen, you need to be home with your mom. You need to calm her down. If Beatrice shows up, you need to be there, kind of thing. And so John's like, hey, fine. Plus, he's kind of young. So Aaron and the friend go to Lord Brooksby's. And this is kind of why I want to read the first one.
Yeah.
Because that guy...
You see some skills from him. That's like,
ooh,
he's intense.
Woo! I was like, yeah. Anyways, so they go to Lord Brooksby's house. And it's like the middle of the night. And they just storm in. And the butler's like, you can't be in here. And I'm going to call the cops. And he's like, call them. You're going to need them. But, like, the guy works for the government. Like, he's not worried about anything. So they go in, and they are, like, threatening Lord Brooksby. And he is not saying anything, obviously. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. But the friend is like, I know that you withdrew a large amount of money. And what else could it be to pay off these abductors and stuff? And that kind of flusters him. And he's like, how do you know about that? Like, I have nothing to hide and all these things. Anyways, so he's like threatening him with a gun. He like pulls out a gun and he's like, you're gonna tell us like where these women are and stuff like that. He's like, I'm gonna tell you anything. So he grabs his knife, stabs him in the thigh. Amazing. And so obviously he's gonna talk.
And Aaron's like, whoa.
He's like, what are you
Didn't know the side of his friend.
Yeah, so he's like, So they get out where the women are being held, and
they get there, but the girls are in their room and they see someone at their window.
Yeah, and it's the friend's wife's sister.
We should get their names.
Oh, I know.
But so they were the one who shot the guy who tried to abduct her the first time they were shopping with Beatrice.
Just climbs through the window and she's like in pants and stuff.
Yeah.
And she like had said before, like she's more feminist and she's like, I think women should wear pants and like all these things.
Yeah.
And so she shows up and she's like, I'm here to save you, basically.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. So she is creeping out the door and she's like, okay, stay here. And she sees all the people down there and she's like, the other guys said they would be here any second.
Yeah.
And they're like, what other guys? Like, what's happening? Anyways, so Aaron and Hawthorne show up. Lord Hawthorne show up, and they subdue the guards, the two bad guys.
Yeah,
at the bottom level. And so they're like, okay, it's safe to come out. Anyways, Aaron is excited to see Bea, and he's like, oh my gosh, you're safe. Like, I was so worried and stuff. And they have this cute little moment, and.
Doesn't Lydia, hang on, rewind really quick. Doesn't Lydia talk to Beatrice about, like, how Aaron actually does really like her? Like, she's like, I see how he looks at you, or something like that.
Yeah, I do remember that. She's literally, like, they just have this moment where they're kind of reconciling, and she's like, I want a relationship like you and Aaron.
Yeah.
She's like, what? And she's like, I see how Aaron looks at you.
Yeah.
It's just, like, with so much love and adoration and stuff.
Yeah.
And she's like, you just seem like this perfect couple and kind of thing. And Beatrice is like,
Yeah, it was interesting to see from, that it wasn't, Aaron wasn't just putting on a show, or he is genuinely falling for her. And so that helps Beatrice kind of come around a little bit. But while they finally get saved, they come and they hug and stuff. Yeah. And Aaron still feels like, I'm so glad you're safe, but he's sad that she said no to him.
Yeah,
you know?
So he's like, I can't, like,
nothing
say anything.
Else. Yeah.
Yeah, but Beatrice is pretty much like coming to terms that she
does want to be with him.
Aaron, She, like, genuinely loves him now, and it's good. Anyway, so they cut to like 2 or 3 days after the abduction. Aaron is sitting at home, and his friend comes over, and Aaron's super upset because obviously Beatrice doesn't want to marry him still. And he's like, you're giving up on her? And he's like, well, she told me and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, you need to go fight for her. Like, you need to, if you really care about her, you need to go fight for her. And so he's
show
like,
her.
do you know what? You're right. So he goes over and he starts going over to Beatrice's. Anyway, so Beatrice is sitting in her library, staring out the window, and she wants Aaron to come, even though she said for him not to come.
Yeah.
And so she's just like sitting there, and John comes in, and he can see like Beatrice really does love Aaron now.
Yeah, he's like, you're miserable.
Yeah, you need to go to him. I know it's like usually the guy who's supposed to come, but like you kind of put yourself in this situation. You need to go to him. I'll take you over there. Begrudgingly, I'll take you over there. Like, let's go in the carriage. And so they come out of the room. As she's coming down the stairs, who's standing there with her dad? But Aaron. He's already there with her.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I need to speak with you privately kind of thing. Aaron goes in and is talking to her, and he's like, listen, I told your dad I don't want the mine anymore. Like, I'm giving up my share of the mines.
I forgot this part.
So, like, you know that I
just
genuinely
want
want to be married to you. Like, I still want to get married and all these things. And she's like, are you serious? Like, you gave up your entire inheritance, all these things, just so you can marry me? He's like, yeah, it's not worth it if I can't be married to you. Like, having all these things. It's so cute. And so she finally, like, believes that he's been genuine with this all the time. So then they kiss, and it's so sweet. But like I said, it's at the very end of the book.
Yeah, very slow burn.
Very slow burn. Anyways, so she's not second-guessing him anymore, and they decide that they're going to get married tomorrow because they still have a special license from the first time. And so they decide to get married. And the father is like, nah, you're going to keep your minds. Like, you're still going to have that. Yes. And Aaron kind of, like, relieved, but they have everything they want now.
Yeah.
And then, so that's the end of the book.
Yeah.
And then it has the epilogue, which is 7 years later.
Yeah.
And they have a little toddler little girl and, like, a little infant boy. And it's so cute because Beatrice just put the little boy down and goes out to the garden where Aaron's with the little girl.
Aww.
And she's all like, Daddy, I want this popsicle or treat or whatever. And he's like, no, you can only have one. She's like, but I want to. And he's like, okay, fine. You just see, like, he just loves his whole little family so much, and Beatrice, and it's just a cute little special moment. I'm so glad she added, because we didn't get to see, you know, all those really sweet, tender moments between them as much as I think I would have wanted to have. Yeah. But yeah, that was a super cute moment after that. So yeah, that's how it ends.
Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Like I said, I just, with the kidnapping and the like the high intensity part, I really, didn't see it coming, and so when it did happen, I was like, oh my gosh, and then like
so much happening the whole time.
Yeah,
like, it's just boom, 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 boom.
And I thought, for some reason, the way it was reading, I felt like it was a different kind of story, but then this kind of heightened it up and like made it move a little bit more, and I was like, oh man, this is awesome.
And you read it before I did, and you kept saying that you're like, just when I think like I might start getting bored about it, something else happens and I'm just so re-engaged. Yeah, you know, the whole time. Yeah, just like
right when it feels to plateau just a little, barely, and I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen now. Like, that's kind of what my thinking was, is not that it was getting boring, but like, what else is gonna happen? And then something randomly happens, you're like, oh, okay, and then you're into
surprised
it.
The whole time. Yeah, you don't see the whole kidnapping whole thing, like the whole plot of that happening, and like Lydia's character makes it super interesting, and all of these little things. Like, the characters are written really well, really believable, and so it's just easy to follow along the whole time.
Yeah, and the writing is so smooth and great, and I love when the stories are clean but so good for so many other reasons, you know?
Yeah. It needs to be a good story.
And for some reason, I feel like I've read a Laura Beers book, and I just don't know what it was.
Really?
Yes. Like, I know her name. I know I've read a book, but I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the first one I did. So.
But she's great. She's a new favorite of mine, I think. Like, to add her to with, like,
I would trust
Leah
her books,
Bruner and Laura Beers. Oh my gosh, LB. That's funny.
I mean, my standard for Regency romance is Sarah M. Eden and Blackmore.
Oh, Julianne
Donaldson. Those are my top highest writers.
Is mine.
Yeah, that's true.
So I got Laura Beers.
I mean, she's like third of the authors. I think it's Julianne Donaldson, Sarah M. Eden, and then now Laura Beers is in that third place.
Oh, yeah, get it.
I mean, she might move up if I read more of her books, but I mean,
she might, man.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good compliment.
It's hard to write a good Regency romance.
It really is.
Exciting and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
Listen, there's this other book that I read so long ago, and I didn't finish it. Not because it wasn't a good book, but because I don't know why I just didn't finish it, and I want to reread it, and I want to put it on the podcast.
What is it?
The captain one.
Oh, I know. And the cover looks really good, and I've seen it around.
And it's good, and I don't know why I stopped.
You couldn't get through it. You know what? I really do think that mentally you have to be in the right place, because a book can be so good.
Yeah.
And then you just aren't in the right place to like enjoy it. Or
I think
you're
that's
just
what happened.
Not connecting to it, or for whatever reason.
I think I started reading another book that I was more into at the time, and so I stopped. But I genuinely really liked what I read, so I need to go back, and we'll probably put it on the podcast.
Okay. Well, that's why you have to be careful with negative reviews too, because like you have to think about yourself. Do I not like this book because of where I'm at, or is it the book itself that you don't like? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I usually don't just read a book because I'm like, it's like recommended to me. I have to be like, hey, what genre do I want to read right now?
What am I craving?
Yeah. So I have to go by that. If I'm not in the mood for something, it could be the best book ever.
Right. And then you just
read it.
won't be there. It just won't be there for you. I know.
Yeah.
I get it. Well, we need to rate this book. So let's talk about this. What do we rate? I was going to say the beginning for some reason, but it's the end. Okay, the ending. Where do we want to start?
It's the romance, the plot, and the ending.
Okay, let's start with the plot. I feel like we need to start with the plot.
Okay. Plot was really good. I'd give it like a 4 out of 5.
Okay. Yeah, I would say between a 4, because I was surprised. Like when I read it the first time, I was surprised, and it just, it did keep me hooked like throughout, and I was like, oh, okay, this is going somewhere, something's happening. Like, it was really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, I agree.
So, what did I say? 4? Okay. Yeah. All right, romance.
I'd say about 4 too.
Yeah.
I think there could have been more.
I really wanted to see him. I really wanted to see them connect a little bit more strongly. Mm-hmm. I think that there was some there. I think it could have been a little bit deeper and a little bit longer. So the moments that were there, maybe just stretch it out a little bit more. That is true. And to have those, like to have the moments where they're like laughing together, or they're learning more about each other, or they're teasing each other. Those are the things that I look for, where you could feel like they're really connecting on a deeper level.
Yeah.
So I think just a little bit more, but it didn't make me hate it at all. So because of that, I'm going to say a 4 on this one. But yeah, I think everything else is there. I think it progressed naturally. I think it's sweet, and I think I like them both, and I think they, the balance between the two of them is really cute. So yeah.
Like a 4.
Yeah.
Okay, ending.
Yeah. I probably would say a 4 as well. I liked that it was a cute ending. Everything was resolved. There wasn't any loose ends. And yeah, it was cute.
I don't think it felt rushed or anything.
Yeah.
Which, sometimes endings can very easily feel rushed. But I did think it was good pacing and everything. And everything was tied up in the end how you kind of wanted it to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, happy.
So just a good solid 4 out of 5 book.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it's hard to get a 5.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, it was hard to get a 4.
That's true.
This is a good compliment.
We don't like to put books on here that
we don't like. Yeah. So the fact that it's even on here.
Needs to be worth the read.
It does. And this one is worth the read.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So loved it. Love Laura Beers now. I feel like I want to go and explore all of the Laura Beers books.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Maybe not in this series.
She has other series too.
Right. I want to see what else she has written.
Yeah, she has a ton.
Really?
How do you get these out so fast? I think. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. I feel like she has a lot of books out.
I think you're correct, though.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I mean, amazing. I love it. Laura Beers, thank you. Thanks for your services to us.
Amazing.
To creating these great books. Thank you so much for listening to Unlikely Plan by Laura Beers. Don't forget to follow us at Worth the Read Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Leave a review, share with your friends, and we'll see you next time, and you can decide if it's worth the read. Bye.
Bye.